This is for the 2022 WFCA State Tournament. Ever had a burr in your sock? A gapper is like that, except bigger, about the size of a baseball, bright orange, and with multiple eyes, like the eyes on a potato. And gappers love goats. Anytime a gapper gets near a goat, it gives off a continuous, high-pitched, annoying shriek of pleasure that makes it impossible for the goats to sleep. And if the goats don't get sleep, then there's no goat milk. And in towns that survive by selling goat milk, if there's no goat milk, then there's no money. And if there's no money, then there's no food, or housing, or clothing. And so, in gapper-infested towns, since no one likes the idea of sleeping naked outdoors, it is necessary to keep the gappers off the goats at all times. Such a town was Fripp. We all have those moments in life where we have to do something, dread it, and just brush it off with a simple, I'll do it tomorrow. But for a young girl named Capable, there is no tomorrow, as her resilience against the gappers is constantly put to the test. The Very Persistent Gappers of Fripp by George Saunders. In the house closest to the sea lived Capable. Earlier that year, her mother had died, and since then, her father had liked things to stay exactly as they were. When the sun was going down in the evening, Capable would find her father yelling at the sun to stay up, only to find him sitting slunken, defeated, when the sun disobeyed him and went down anyway. It was a hard life, and it made her tired.
Father, what if we move away from the ocean, away from the gappers, away from Fripp?
My dear, I'm surprised at you. This is our home. It's always been our home. And besides, what would you do if there were no gappers?
Sleep, said Capable with deep, dark pools in her eyes.
Ah, yes. Sleep.
And then he went to take his afternoon nap. Now, gappers are not smart. But then again, they're not all equally stupid. One day at the bottom of the ocean, one of the less stupid gappers calculated that of the 3 houses in Fripp, Capable's house was about 15 feet closer to the ocean than the next house. Which, when you're the size of a baseball and have no arms or legs and have to move around by crawling on your extremely sensitive belly, it's useful information. So that night, instead of splitting off into 3 separate groups, all of the gappers in the sea moved in one giant, enormous, impressive, shrieking group directly into Capable's yard. Now, there are about 1,500 gappers living in the Sea of Fripp. Each house has about 10 goats. So, that would mean, on average, there would be about 50 gappers per goat. But, with all 1,500 gappers moving into Capable's yard, there would be 150 gappers per goat. When Capable went out that morning to brush them off, she found every single goat covered in orange gappers, lying on their side with a mortified look on their face. The other chosen of Fripp found no gappers on their goats when they went out to brush them, so they went back to bed. 2 whole weeks passed, and eventually the goats stopped giving goat milk. It was then when Capable thought of her mother, who told her once,
Honey, if you need help, ask for help.
So that night, Capable wrote a letter to her neighbors, the Romos and the Rosens.
Dear friends, we need your help. The gappers are killing our goats. I can't take them on by myself. Please help us.
Sincerely, Capable. The next day, she received the following letter from the Rosens.
Dear Capable, while we are very sympathetic to your cause, wouldn't it be better if you were to handle it yourself? Not saying that we're better than you, it's just that since our goats don't have any gappers, it leads us to believe that we have done some good in our lives. Not saying that we hate you, it's just
Don't please get rid of those gappers. Love, your neighbors.
But Capable tried her best, and her best wasn't enough. So eventually, she had to sell her goats to the nearby town of Fritch. Well, what are you going to do now that you have no goats? Said Mrs. Romo.
Fish.
And that was a shocker. The people of Fripp did not fish. Fripp was not a fishing town. If you fished in Fripp, that only meant you were too stupid and had to acquire a goat. And if you acquired a goat, then you didn't have to fish, because you did not fish in Fripp. Fripp was not a fishing town. You did not fish in Fripp. So Capable taught herself how to fish. She first taught herself how to pull her own foot out from underneath her. And then she taught herself how to peel a worm off her forehead and be very thankful she didn't just pierce her own eyebrow. Ugh. But after long and hard work, Capable managed to catch one giant, enormous, silvery fish. Fishing was good. Every day, Capable would wake up, go outside, go for a swim, build a sand castle, go for some fishing, go back home, take another nap, wake up again, swim some more, fish some more. It was perfect. But the Gappers weren't too happy with their goatly companions leaving them, and therefore went over to the Romos and the Rosens. Honey, it appears the Romo's goats aren't looking too well. How are our goats? How are they looking?
I don't know, dear. The goats are covered in gappers. I can't see them.
Now, the Romos and the Rosens aren't as smart as Capable and her father were, and they sold everything they owned except for the clothes on their backs. As they were returning from the town of Fritch, they saw Capable walking home with a giant former gapper sack full of silvery fish. Well, those don't look too bad, actually. Do you think you could teach my boys and I how to fish? Yes, and could you possibly teach us as well, and do you mind if we live with you guys as well? We kinda sold our houses.
Father, it appears we're going to have some company.
Well, that seems like an awful lot of work, now does it?
Yes, said Capable. Yes, it does.